webinar for the Japan market. We've had a few groups meeting up to try to work out what we should do in this market and to try to help the industry. And so we thought we'd start with this one today. So we've got a few speakers today. I'll give everybody a quick overview of HSMAI, and then Tatsunori Saki from OTA Insight has kindly pulled some good data for us on the Japan markets. So he's going to show us some data, and then Pooja Peters is going to tell us what we can do with that data to improve our results. And then we'll have a chat with Sho Yasui, who's the commercial director for Japan for Accor, and we'll have a chat with him about what's coming up and what's happening in the local market. So I hope this is enjoyable for you, and welcome on board. I'll give you a start. I'll just do a quick overview of HSMAI. So HSMAI is the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. It's a really hard acronym to say, even if your first language is English. So don't try to say it fast. There's 4 regions around the world. There's about 8,000 members, a lot in Europe and Americas, and we've been building up in Asia Pac for 5 years or so now. HSMAI it's not like your local hotel association. So HSMAI is more like a professional society. So individuals are members, and the mission is to help individuals grow their skills and knowledge in sales, marketing, and revenue management. Your hotel associations are more like where your company joins, and then they'll do advocacy with the government and all of that sort of thing. So HSMAI is more about you as an individual to help you grow. We have chapters around Asia Pacific, and we're trying to get going in India and Japan in 2022. Every year we run a revenue optimization conference. It's been in Singapore the whole 5 times we've run it so far, and we're doing that again in June of 2022. So that's our big annual conference that the association runs in Asia. We've also built some online courses for people coming into the revenue department. So there's 10 online courses. That's a completely online program, and that's available too. We've just finished one for digital marketing, similar. So people coming into the digital marketing, or if you've got a new agency and they haven't worked in hospitality, it's good for those sort of people. There's a few events we're sort of thinking might be suitable to your market, and so I'd love to get some feedback on what you think is missing, because we don't want to copy what other people do. We want to give you something that you can't get already. We normally run, before COVID, we ran 2-day workshops in revenue management, and then in the resort areas we would run similar 2-day workshops, but we would include revenue and digital in the one workshop. And then we can do sort of webinar style sessions like these, where we can focus on individual topics. So I'd love to hear your feedback from anyone who wants to suggest something that you'd like to have in the market, and if we can help, we will. So I'm going to hand over now to OTA Insight, and you're going to see the latest stats for the Japan market. Tatsu-san, over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Stop share.
All right. So can you share my screen, okay? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So thank you, Jackie. This is Tatsunori Yasaki, Regional Manager of Japan OTA Insight, and also I'm a board member of HSMAI Japan. And it's very honored and happy to see your faces and being in front of you today. And just happy to see you all. And this is a little agenda for something that I'll be talking today, and I'll be quickly introducing about myself and OTA Insight, and I will show what I got for today, and then how, and also some positive aspects and conclusion at last. Okay, so before going to the presentation itself, let me quickly introduce about what OTA Insight does. It's a data solution company for hospitality industry, and then we provide suite of revenue management tools to the hotels globally with 55K hotels, including global major global chain hotels. And this is what I got for you today to present. So before diving into the data itself, let me quickly introduce about what is this and then why. So a little bit about the background of this. So historically, hotel industry has been relying on the past data, which is stored in the PMS to predict the future market demand, basically. However, especially during the time like this, it's so easy to, the demand is get affected by the external factors like the government decisions or pandemic or increasing of the daily confirmed cases of COVID. So it's obvious that everything is getting more hard. It's getting harder and harder every day for all the revenue managers to predict the future based on the past data. So as OTA Insight, we've been focusing on this problem in the last 2 years, and then we started to work on a new project, which is to give a light to a different set of data, which is a pre-booking data, aka a real-time search data. So if you put a booking or making a hotel reservation into the center of everything, the data we've been using to predict future demand is considered as a post-booking data. So all the data sets are created by people making the reservations. So, and then historically, we've been keep leveraging those data to see how the future demand is going to be looking like. However, this is not as reliable as before. So we started to gather those kind of data as pre-booking data. So we gather all the data from the global OTAs, flight search engines, meta search engine, GDS, review websites, vacation rental search, and more to visualize how the hotel industry is looking like in the world of pre-booking data. So this concept is widely used by Google or Amazon for them to understand the market environment and then what actions they should take in the future. So based on this idea, I got a few data to present today, and this is a part of it. The first one is how have hotel and flight searches evolved. So this shows the evolution of flight search volume and OTA meta hotel search volume in last 3 months. So starting from June up until the end of September. And I want to pull 3 points to introduce here based on this data. So obviously searches have been on the rise in the last few weeks for both hotels and flights at all markets, even during the state of emergency. And I want to add one more data here on this slide, which is this one. Okay, so this graph is the graph for the daily confirmed cases of COVID for entire Japan. So this is linked to the second point. We witnessed a closer link between search volume and number of COVID cases rather than government decisions itself. And people tend to restart travel searches at their own decision as the number of newly confirmed cases increases or decreases. So based on this data, I want to have a closer look into those 5 markets, what's happening over there. The first one is Tokyo. So this is the market demand outlook for the next 90 days for Tokyo. So, and the first point is that people are already starting to search for Christmas to the year end by now. So this bar graph is showing the demand level of each stay date based on the calculation by our AI built in our market insight after gathering all the real-time search data from all the data partners, right? And then the second point is that demand for weekday is increasing and decreasing dynamically. If you see arrows up and down in the graph, possibly because of the influence from the latest news, such as removal of restrictions and the decisions on the new prime minister, etc. And down below, we have 2 different data, which is a top country searching for OTAs and length of stay data. So as you can see here, 79.2% of the searches were from Japan, which is a large percentage of one-night stays like this. However, if you look at the total of 2 or more nights here, you can see that 19.3% of the searches were for 2 or more nights, what actions we can take to capture this demand. So, if we don't have this kind of real-time search data, what we have on our hand is just a past booking data. So it's really hard to understand what kind of people are searching, where this search is coming from without this kind of data. So this is going to help you to make decisions for action to the future dates. Okay, the next is Osaka. So as in Tokyo, the demand level of Osaka from Christmas to the year end are already high, but overall demand level is still low. And compared to the previous week, demand levels on weekdays dropped on average, see arrows going down. And the suggestion that users are still skeptical about traveling to Osaka. And the IP addresses of the searches and the LOS distribution are similar to Tokyo. We need to be aware that the current trend in Tokyo will come to Osaka within a few weeks, delay, and keep a close look on the situation. And Fukuoka, I'm seeing a bit of positivity here, increasing the demand levels. And the good balance of supply indicates a clear market recovery trend. And the next step is to figure out how to maximize weekend sales while optimizing weekday intake. And perhaps because of the large number of the travelers are within the Kyushu region, there tends to be a large number of one-night searches from Japan. Capturing demand for intra-regional travel is considered to be a key to success for Fukuoka. And for Okinawa, overall, searches are concentrated at the end of the year and during the holidays. And for Okinawa and the following Sapporo market, I want to introduce a flight search data instead of hotel search data because the hotel demand is heavily influenced by the flight for those 2 destinations. So if you have a look at the search data to Okinawa right now, 91.9% of the flight searches are from Japan, and most of them are from Tokyo and Nagoya. And the guests with longer LOS and daytime will be the main target for them. So the winner will be determined by the ability to capture them early in Q4 using promotions for LOS, early booker discounts, and dynamic packages, etc. And at last, Sapporo. So similar to Okinawa, searches are concentrated at the end of the year and on holidays. And the majority of the flight searches are from Tokyo and Nagoya with LOS 2 to 7. And although the Sapporo Snow Festival has been canceled, the key will be to offer products that take advantage of the appeal of each content, such as autumn leaves, skiing, hot springs, and travel within the region, which couldn't be fully utilized due to the pandemic last year, and to utilize dynamic packages. Okay. So, and finally, I just wanted to summarize some positive aspects in Japan market and my conclusion. So from the medical point of view, I can raise these 4 points. In Japan, fortunately, we have a high vaccine penetration rate. Today, we have 60% plus fully vaccinated, and then the government is targeting to reach up to 70 to 75% at the end of this month. And also, I think many of you guys have heard about the invention of a new vaccine patch thing, this one. Looks like it's easier and faster and cheaper to spread the vaccine to the world. And I hope this is going to, help bottom up the vaccine penetration rate across the world. And then, again, as Japan, we have enough vaccine contract. So which enough to cover 4.4 times the entire Japanese population. And also, fourth point is antibody cocktail treatment is getting popular. So it used to be allowed to do at some, hospitalities, which was allowed to do this by the government, but now it's fine to give this treatment even at home if the doctor is there. So the first case was done in the third week of September in Osaka. So this is going to, if this gets more popular, I think the situation is going to get better. And from travel industry point of view, the government support to encourage intra-regional travel. So with my quick investigation about this, 21 prefectures out of 47 prefectures are already doing some kind of campaign as of 1st of October. And the government is still pushing all the governors to do this before re-triggering the Go To Travel campaign itself. So stay tuned on the news. And the second point is they restarted a discussion for reactivation of Go To Travel campaign. Still everything is under the water and under the discussion. Nothing is really confirmed, but it's so sure that this is going to come back within a few months. So we want to spend some time to discuss what kind of actions can we take? Can we get ready for that? And finally, the lifestyle. As you saw in the data that I just saw, people are now adapting to the new normal. So whatever the government says, if they think they want to travel, they do. So we want to see, it's always important to get the latest update from the government, but at the same time, we want to see how the end users are behaving online. And high level of willingness to travel. Based on the investigation, more than 80% of the people who answered it want Go To Travel campaign to be reactivated ASAP. So after all those data and the positive aspects, as my conclusion, after all, no one has the absolute right answer at this point. The only measure that we can take is to spread our antennas higher and wider than ever before, constantly gather information and act without missing any data that could be a sign of recovery. Yes. So sorry that I went through all the data very quickly because of the time, but no worries. Jackie will be sharing this slide after the call. So yeah, anytime if you want to discuss about anything, just contact me anytime if you like. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and then pass it back to Jackie. Thanks.
Hello, thanks very much for all that information. That's great. And I'm going to hand straight over to Pooja Peters, who up till very recently was the Director of Revenue at Peninsula. And she's going to give you some tips about how she would use this data to make decisions.
Hi, konnichiwa, everyone. I'm currently in quarantine in Sydney. I have patchy internet, so if I'm getting disconnected, if you can let me know and send a quick message on chat, and I can repeat what I said. Thank you, Tatsu-san. That was a great introduction and presentation for Market Insights. I really enjoyed working with this tool back in Tokyo, and I wanted to share how I would interpret some of this data that was shared on a property level. I see some very experienced directors of revenue on this call, so please feel free to add after I'm done how you would further interpret this data as well. So we can go to the next slide. Sorry, I don't have control to this. Let me, no, actually, let me request control. Is that okay? And see if I can manage this from here.
Yep, sure. Control away.
Thank you. So as Tatsu-san shared this screen with us earlier, this is demand data from the 4th of October to the 3rd of January. And the bars are the colors of the level of searches. So as we can see, the search data for 20th November was a little bit stronger. So keeping that in mind, we looked at this day to see which area are bookers searching. Now we can see the searches in the city area as well as in Disney. Now, this keeps changing, and this was searches on a Monday, but by Friday, you'll start seeing searches getting stronger in the city and lower in the Chiba area. What we also know is 94% of the searches are domestic, so ensure your pricing is for the domestic market. There are still 3% of Americans who think they're going to come into Tokyo in November. Hopefully they do, and looking for 7-night length of stays. Another way I use this report is to analyze my own pricing strategy and my own decisions and forecast. So if I look at a date and I've forecasted a really, I'd say I was going to be, let's be positive. I was forecasting 70% on this day, and we finished the day at 50%. So I want to go back and analyze why I forecasted that high. So I go back and I look at the lead time, and I can see on all these Saturdays and weeks before, demand was really strong, which gave me the impression pickup was going to be strong as well. And that's why I forecasted high. But then you see the demand start dropping, and the following Saturdays didn't have the same pickup as the previous Saturdays, which is where pickup slowed down and you actually didn't achieve your initial forecast. So keep monitoring this and updating your forecast and pricing as demand and searches keep changing. God, I just got on my internet. Another key date in Tokyo, and this is no surprise to anyone on this call, 31st December is always a strong day if it's domestic or international, and the searches are getting stronger over here. It's weakened over the last 2 weeks. I think this was the weeks of the Silver Week weekend when people had a lot of time and holidays to book. So demand was stronger, but now it's tapering down a bit. 82% of the searches are domestic, so a little more excitement from the international market to start booking from the festive season. And we see US again being the key market where searches are growing. I want to move into Q1 2022 as revenue people. When you enter the quarter, you're done with the quarter, you start focusing on the quarter ahead. So here you see there's a lot more red bars, which is super exciting for the Tokyo market to see a lot more searches further out. So how would you interpret this data for Q1? Because from a week ago, and I don't think Tokyo changes that quickly, there wouldn't be much pickup for Q1 still. It would still be trickling in a couple of room nights now and then. So what is the searches? And so when I looked at this, what I would see is the searches all over the city, and we looked at the flight searches. So sorry, let me go back to the previous. So I looked at this key date, 12th of Feb, to see who is searching to come in there. And most of the searches are for the flights are coming out of Australia. The Australians like to ski in Niseko. And so there's a little bit of dreaming going on for a 12-night stay. Hopefully they can come. But for your Tokyo hotels, it would be 3 nights in Tokyo and then off to Niseko and maybe another destination. The UK is next, and the US. So lots of dreaming going on for flight searches going on here. So how does this interpret to hotels? Sorry, this is really bad internet and it's so slow. So for hotel searches, I saw there was absolutely no searches for hotels. So when the hotel search data comes up, it doesn't show which countries are searching. So right now, stay competitive and stay visible, but then you're not getting any hotel bookings yet because people are just looking for flights. And then we looked at Cherry Blossom, the key weekend of Cherry Blossom. The last 2 years I was in Tokyo was this weekend. So again, flight searches are really strong. Really interesting to see Poland as the #1 destination searching for flights into Tokyo. But that would probably be a GDS implant or a travel agent for out of Europe looking for some packaging, or where a meta search engine is based. So that's why that would come up as 35% of your searches, all over 10-night length of stay, also super exciting. You have the UK, US, Italy, and Australia looking to come in Cherry Blossom. This is followed by, again, no hotel searches. So obviously once the flights start picking up, and keep an eye on these dates on Google Flights. If rates start going up, it means people are booking. So once the flights start go up, your hotel bookings will start coming in. So that is really how I would use this data. And Jackie has asked me to give you a few tips on how I use this data. So this is what I would say. You have so many other tools other than Market Insight. We have STR reports, you have Demand 360. You got to use them all together and not focus on one. This is unqualified searches, so not all of them translate into bookings, but this does give you a trend. So I say the truth is in the trend, but the power is in the patterns, and you can drive your own pattern. I'll give you a pattern from Tokyo I learned from April. There was one hotel that started doing a sale on a Friday, and obviously with Demand 360, you see that the pickup was strong. Now every hotel does a sale on a Friday, so all the market has ended up doing is having a lower picked up ADR on a Friday. So change your patterns, use this data, interpret it how you can use it for your property, and create your own pattern. Second one I'd say is this is a lot of OTA and GDS. This is not your hotel's brand website data. So if you see the trends were not in line with your hotel, probably means you have really strong brand website demand as well. So it doesn't always correlate to the trends you saw today. Continue creating your own domestic market offers and use what's strong for your brand. Keep copying each other. I think, again, you'll have the same occupancy and same ADR. So use your brand website to leverage your strengths. And lastly, we're seeing, I know it's exciting to see flight searches and no hotel searches in 2022, but be visible, because as soon as they book the flight, the next thing they're looking for is hotels. Use your GDS marketing, your internet marketing. If you have a strong marketing team at the hotel, start working with them on visibility for your property overseas in Australia, the US, and Poland. And those are my 3 takeaways from how I use Market Insights. Thank you.
Great.
Any questions, any comments? Or I'll hand back to Jackie.
Yep. Does anyone want to? You don't have to stay silent on this. It's not a one-way webinar. You can put your Zoom on, put your video on, unmute yourself. If you want to ask a question, please do. Otherwise, we'll shoot off. Thank you very much. And then we'll shoot off from revenue to maybe a bit more sales and marketing. And we will say, actually, you'll have to give me back control. How do we do that?
Stop remote control, done.
Okay, great. Thanks. We'll go back. Okay, so let's bring in, I keep pressing I've got a touch screen and I keep pressing the button, sorry. So we'll bring in Sho Yasui from Accor, and let's see if we can move to some sales and marketing.
Sure.
So I think we saw Tatsu put a few bits of information about the current restrictions. I can probably explain why the Australians are all searching for flights to Japan, because on Friday the Prime Minister said we're allowed to travel from mid-November if we're double jabbed. And then we had a long weekend and we're locked down. So we got plenty of time to go and look, right? So we are definitely dreaming about going to Japan in the winter. So what else is happening in the local market about the restrictions? What's impacting you now? Like here we're talking about, are you only going to take double jabbed guests? Are you going to let people come who aren't vaccinated? All that sort of thing. What sort of things like that are happening?
Well, I guess before I answer that question, just wanted to say hi to everyone.
Sorry, huh?
Thank you for having me here, and nice to see some familiar names in this meeting. And to go back to the question Jackie has asked, well, in Japan, there are a lot of the discussion happening already. And well, as of today, we are still quite tight on restriction. You need to have like 72 hours before testing, 72 hours before the flight, and 14 days quarantine is still required. But there are a lot of discussion happening, and we believe, we ACO believe that business track would be opening quite soon. There are probably international students are allowed to come into Japan again, and they will need to do the quarantine, but there are some demand for the international student happening probably in 1 month or 2 months time. So there are a lot of movement, there are a lot of discussion, but as you know, the government is having a big change today, and things may take time. And originally Japan, things takes time a lot. So, well, you can't expect things happen too quickly. But one thing for sure is a lot of discussion happening.
Right, I think that's similar. That's similar to here, where we're trying to get the international students to come back as well. Okay, then what about, so as a market, what's happening? What are you marketing now? Is it all focused on domestic and leisure? What's happening in that regard? What are what are the big campaigns happening?
Well, today, I guess, as I believe everyone is the same, but I think like 99% of the revenue today is coming from domestic, right? So, well, same for us. Well, we are putting 95% of focus to the domestic market and probably less to the international market. And if I may just kick off from the domestic market, there are discussion around go-to campaign, right? In Japan, we may have another go-to campaign starting in, I don't know, this year or next year, who knows? But there are for sure discussion happening. And the thing is, this time the structure and scheme will be different. And there are rumors that only the vaccinated people will be able to get benefit from the go-to campaign. And then that will entirely change the shape of the go-to campaign, because that means the children under 12 cannot get benefit from the go-to campaign. And then we may need to expect that we will have a big drop in the family demand in this campaign, right? So the targeting will be totally different. And also this could be downscaled. So the luxury hotels was really benefiting from this campaign the last time, but this time maybe mid-scale and upscale may have the better chance to win more benefit from this campaign, right? And I think one of the important things we need to think about through this campaign is all the OTA will be doing a lot of promotion, a lot of campaign, bonus point campaign, time sales, whatever. And our focus is really how we can protect our book direct through this go-to campaign period. Because last time OTA gained huge share from the wholesale, and OTA gain huge share from our book direct. And we can't let it happen again. So we need to plan very carefully on how to protect our book direct, how to protect our loyal guests throughout the next campaign. So that's something we should be discussing today or maybe yesterday, because already discussion are happening for go-to campaign. So that's probably the things happening for the domestic market. And I've been talking about domestic market only, but it doesn't mean nothing is happening for international market. There are some business moving for international market, and especially long lead market such as Europe and the US. And they are already planning for the move in 2022, excuse me. And believe or not, in some destination, in some of the hotels, there are already more than 1,000 of room nights booked from the Europe and the US market. And well, depend on the COVID-19, all of them may be canceled. Don't know. But the fact is that's already planned and that's already booked. And people are already, as you can see from the Tatsu-san's and Pooja's insight, there are people who showed interest of the traveling. And there are also the people who already booked for the next year traveling. So for sure, we need to be chasing. We need to be looking after those guests and making sure we capture those demand, right? And not only the long lead demand, there are also short lead demand. Just as I mentioned, one example could be international student who is coming in after the business track is opened, right? That's something we need to secure for sure, right? I mean, not luxury hotel probably, but we have a lot of economy hotels, so we should be following, we should be looking after that. And airline, as many of you must know it already, airline is already looking for the another contract for the next 3-4 years. And this time, the tough thing is they will not look for 1-year contract. They will look for 3-year, 4-year contract, right? And in order to manage it very well, the hotel team need to have the market forecast for the next 3 or 4 years. And also the hotel team need to have the displacement analysis for the next 3 or 4 years. And that's very challenging. That's very difficult because nobody knows the future. But well, I mean, but airline is asking for 3-year, 4-year contract. So we need to accommodate that, right? So that's something we should be working on, or we should have been working on in order to win the crew business from the airline. And if you miss it, this mistake may continue for the next 3 or 4 years, and your owner will be upset for the next 3 or 4 years. That's a nightmare for you, so you don't want to do that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No. And I guess one more important thing is planning for the next year. And I'm sure many of you are in budget process today. And it is very important for all of us to plan accurately for the next year. Well, future is not clear at all today, but still we need to make the best plan with the limited information. And we need to have a good planning for manning. And we need to have a good planning for the spending. And I would say both of them are critically important. And for spending, it is very important to think if we should spend money next year for sales activity, or if we should spend money for more on marketing activity, such as digital marketing or PR agency. And in order to decide, you need to know what demand will exist next year and what demand will be at risk next year. So those planning would be critically important. And if you don't plan it yet, even though the demand will come back next year, you may not have the structure or the people to capture those demand. So, I mean, demand is not completely come back yet for the international market, but there are a lot of things we can do today to prepare for the international demand recovery. And if you fail it, you may still get revenue, a lot of revenue, because demand is big. But you may not be able to win in RGI, or you may not be able to stand out from the crowd. So I guess that's something we should be looking for, and I hope we are doing that in my country, in my company as well. But we are working hard for that. So I guess that's our focus today, and it is very challenging. And everything I say, I mean, saying is easy, but every piece of the actions I have just mentioned is critically very difficult, because it's not like every usual year. It's the COVID-19, and nobody knows about the next year, so it is very difficult. but I mean, we are all smart brains, so we need to use our all smart brain to plan very well for the next year. So I guess that's it. That's something we should be doing for the international market, and we are doing for the international market.
Great. Okay. And what segments you're looking at? I think you mentioned the airlines, international students. What about sort of wholesale? Do you think it's wholesale demand that's coming out? A really long lead? Are they hoping for the best and hoping they're going to be able to get groups coming out? Do you think next year?
Well, that's very difficult to expect, right? I mean, some of the wholesale will be able to capture the demand. Like if we look at domestic, the wholesale with the good dynamic package are winning, like JL and JTB a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And same can be happening for international. There should be some winner and losers for sure, and the all depend on the if we can fit ourselves to the new market or not. So, well, we are not. It's not that we are not focusing on the wholesale market anymore, nothing like that. But we need to be very selective on which wholesale we will be working with. But one thing for sure is there will be some of the winners. And if you happen to work with some of the winners, you will be able to get the win share in the market.
Sure. Uh-oh. Pick the winner, hey? Right. Now, I know you mentioned about, sorry, Kaz, did you want to say something? No, it's just got the, just unmuted. What was I going to ask? I was going to ask you about previously where you said about the OTAs and people not booking direct last time. So I gather the GoTo campaign, was that a government subsidized, so subsidizing people to travel? Was that what the GoTo campaign was about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what, they booked a lot on OTAs last time, did they?
Yeah, a lot. They steal our share.
That's a shame. So who's got, you, Show, or anyone else, is anyone else going to try some tactics to try to get some more direct bookings? And how are you, what are you trying, or how are you going to do that? Anyone want to own up to having an idea? We all want to win in this space.
Yeah, it's very, simple question, but hard to answer.
I know. That's why I ask it, because I like to see if someone will be brave enough to answer. No?
I think from what I learned from GoTo last year, and I can say something because I'm not in the market anymore, is I actually think everyone's there for a discount, and it's all how you're going to incentivize them if you want to have more book direct. Again, as I was saying in my tips, to use what's stronger for your brand that you can't always sell on an OTA, using your features, like some hotels have a different, doing a different arrival and departure time on your brand website, which guests want, or the second night at a better rate on a brand website. Just creating different offers on your brand that you wouldn't put out on the OTA could get them.
Right. Yep. Good idea.
The book. I think a lot of hotel companies have loyalty points. You're using that to drive future stays, or just getting like double point campaigns and things like that I used to use in my past company. So I think those kind of ways they will slowly start shifting. But the OTAs are really strong, and they have a lot more marketing dollars and visibility. So that is where it's going to be a challenge for the hotels. But I don't think it's hard to create a bit of share shift from OTA to brand if you're able to have more exciting offers on your own website.
True. And maybe some hotels don't care. Just give me some room bookings, right? We just want to fill some rooms, right? Number one, fill rooms. Number two,
revenue fast.
So short.
I just want to add something.
Short-sighted.
Sorry, Jackie.
Yeah, Dave,
I just want to add about the GoTo Travel. Actually, the hotels could do the same campaign. It was not just meant for the OTA, but the process to start was easier for the OTAs, because in in the beginning, hotel had to do a manual process, but the OTAs had the automated process. And even if you break down the OTAs, the Japanese OTAs had the maximum share, around 80 to 90% of the bookings, and the domestic sale was very high. But if you look at Expedia and Booking.com, they were very late in joining the campaign. So their sale was pretty low compared to many other OTAs. For example, for our hotel, Expedia used to be the biggest OTA because of a lot of inbound, but we saw probably the lowest sale from Expedia in the last 3 years, especially during this Go to Travel campaign. But I think what Pooja added was true. What we try to do is that we try to offer different packages, because the OTAs really want the rates and availability. But as a hotel like Legoland, we could package a lot of products together and just try to kind of like gain some customers by giving discounts on those products a little bit. But still, the Go to Travel 35% discount was very high. So yes, the OTA did win in the end.
Right. Yes, good point.
Yeah. And a lot of OTAs would be asking you for the bonus point package, right? Like 20 times points, 30 times point. And if you do that, you will sell. You will get a lot of revenue. But at the same time, your share will be stolen immediately, right?
Yeah. Does anyone else want to comment on that? Just checking the time.
Can I just add one more point?
Sure.
I just remembered that from the, sharing from Shosan about one thing which happened in the States over the summer. Like, I think most of us know that, the demand got higher during the summer in the States, right? Because the situation was really stable. And then I understand that the many beach destination hotels has reached or overachieved the revenue even compared with 2019. But at the same time, I heard that many 4-5-star hotels couldn't maximize their revenue even in spite of the high demand because of money, because they let the people go a lot, right? And then if it's like 1-star hostel, it's fine. They can just hire a part-timer to fill in the front office, but it cannot be happening in 4 and 5 stars, right? So most of the people who they laid off, they couldn't come back, right? That's why they are lack of money, and then they couldn't maximize the revenue. And then if the situation in Japan market once stabilized, the market is gonna come back. But I just want to ask, are you ready to maximize your revenue in terms of money? That could be something happening in Japan market in next 6 months or so.
It's a good question, because that's happening all over the world, really, isn't it? That there's not enough staff and hotels are not opening all their rooms. Are you all seeing that? Are you doing that at the moment? Anyone want to comment? We've got shy people.
The international market's not bad yet for that to have impacted Japan. I don't think it's too early for that right now for Japan.
I think I would agree with Pooja. It's too early, but I think planning ahead and be ready to recruit when the timing comes would be critically important. And for this manning, for this manning trouble, maybe that's something OTA Insight should consider as a new service, providing hotel resource to the hotel. Maybe you can make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? It'll be worldwide demand. We'll be all fighting each other for staff. There you go, Tatsu, a new line of business for OTA. Staff recruitment.
Idea.
Okay, any other questions or points anyone wants to make? What's on your mind? Biggest challenge? No?
So like during the presentation and the sharing from Pooja and Shosan, I saw Tokaji-san was kind of like nodding, and so like
yeah, I don't have anything to add except that FTE management is a big deal. If you look at the forecast for a lot of the hotels, they're taking out winter bonuses, right? So in terms of recovery, even if there's pent-up demand, I really don't think we can be capitalizing on that in Q1 or Q2 to the extent that we're expecting. That's all I really have to say about that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Budget constrained everywhere in every chain scale.
Yeah. So that's where the staff, that's where in some cases where the staff constraint is, where you don't have enough staff as well, is the F&B, as well as the rooms and.
Yeah, F&B rooms, particularly in operations, it's just not the most attractive industry to be in at the moment. Attrition is at an all-time high if you look at historical data. So to be honest, I'm not very optimistic from the labor standpoint.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, the minimum wage increased a bit. I'm not sure if that affects the hospitality industry in Japan, but that just makes it a lot more difficult for operators and the owners to be paying, especially those graduating from college. It's just too difficult.
Yeah, and what I've seen in other markets is where, because of COVID, the government is hiring a lot of cleaners to, clean the trains and the buses and all of that sort of buildings and things like that. And they get more money doing that than they get for cleaning a room in a hotel. So government's taking
operators, exactly. And a lot of operators, they're so focused on band-aid solutions. Let's get part-timers, let's get task force, let's get Kaizen. But frankly, those are bullshit solutions. Those aren't going to produce the long-term stability that we need in this industry. That's my opinion.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's a tough time, but it's starting to look better, right? It's starting to look more positive.
Jackie, I have a question. Anybody can answer that. I just want to understand, for example, what kind of strategy do you think would be right at this point of time in terms of the marketing spend? For example, should we spend more marketing money for 2022? Just asking hypothetically, or should we start not spending and instead, probably lower our rates, because that is another way to, kind of attract more bookings, because like the GoTo Travel really worked a lot last year because of the rate factor. So I'm just wondering that if you have any thoughts about that kind of strategy, should we spend more or should we cut the rate more, looking at the uncertainty of the future right now?
It's a great question. The balance. Would anybody like to give an opinion on that one? Come on. No one brave enough? No? There you go, Dave. You're not the only one asking the question by the sound of it. We all are.
Got it.
Sorry about that. Couldn't answer that one.
Dave, sorry, if I may, it's super difficult question, right? And you never know the answer you may get is correct or not. But I think, well, and most of the time, because top line is limited, you can't have a lot of the expense available for you, so it's already limited. And I don't know your position in your organization. I'm assuming you are DOSM or something. If you are DOSM, I think what you may want to do is the amount is probably already, selling is already fixed, so you don't have a lot of money. But what you can do is decide the share of those fixed amount and decide which segment you will be focusing on. Like thinking about next year, where the revenue will be coming from. Is the revenue coming from the transient FIT, or is the revenue coming from the corporate FIT or group? And then if most of the revenue is coming from the transient FIT, and then the money should be spent on those segments, right? You need to spend money to get the return. And if you are not sure about corporate FIT or group coming back, and then if you put money on there, this may be wasted, right? So I guess that could be the thought process you may want to use. But again, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a process that we don't know the answer to still. Thanks for that.
it's always important to get the budget for that. And being ready to activate those, put those money into something which is looking positive and being flexible.
Okay,
Did you
so
say did you say get the budget for OTA Insight next year?
Part of the marketing, I think.
Good question. Okay, so one question you probably all can answer is, for this type of session that we've just done, a 1 hour at lunchtime, is that a good time? Is that a good time for everybody? Does that work well? Would it rather be on the weekend, longer sessions on a different time of day or week? What does anyone have a thought on that? Is lunchtime learning good?
I love this timing.
You like it? Yeah, thank
I like
you.
I think this time is perfect for Japan.
Yeah. Okay, great. All righty. Well, our hour has gone fast. It's nearly up. I've got a couple of more things to tell you. HSMAI are the ones who run the CRME certification program for revenue management and the digital marketing one. So if anyone's interested, you can pop over to our website and have a look. Okay, a couple of more people said lunchtime seems good. Thank you very much for your response. If you're interested in helping us put together any of these sessions, especially deciding what the local market needs to learn more about or would like to hear more about, shoot me a note, or to Tatsu or Pooja, just shoot us a note and let us know if you're interested in helping out. We're a non-profit, so we're here to help the industry and help everybody in it. So thank you very much to Tatsu, Pooja and Joe. Thank you so much for your time and for putting your thoughts together for everybody. And I hope that we can do this again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We
Bye.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Jackie. Bye.
Bye.